ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear friends. So in our last session we read the 8th verse of the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized, and we read very beautiful purport. In purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained many philosophical Krishna conscious and Vedic concepts. Nahi prapashyami mamapnudhyat yashokam uccoshanam indriyanam avapya bhuma vaspatanam riddham rajyam suranam apichadipatyam. So Arjunji is not finding any way to get rid of or completely curb his lamentation, his grief, and he is saying in future also, even if he wins an unrivaled kingdom, I will not be able to destroy it. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to destroy it, even if I win an unrivaled kingdom on the earth with sovereignty like that of the demigods in the heaven. So wonderful verse and wonderful purport. So the next verse, Sanjay ji, who is narrating all the incidences which are happening on the battlefield to his master Dhritarashtra. So the next verse, Sanjay ji is again speaking to Dhritarashtra ji, and another very beautiful verse from the second chapter. Sanjaya vacha एवमुक्त्वा ऋषिकेशं गुणाकेशः परन्तपः न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः। संजय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तपः न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः। Sanjay vacha, Sanjay said, Evam, thus, Uktva, speaking, Rishikesham, unto Krishna, the master of the senses, Gudakeshaha, Arjuna, the master at curbing ignorance. Arjuna, the master, Gudakeshaha, the master at curbing ignorance, Parantapaha, the chastiser of enemies, Na yotse, I shall not fight, iti, thus, Govindam, unto Krishna, the giver of pleasure. Govindam, Krishna, the giver of pleasure. Uktva, saying, Tushnim, silent. Babhuva, became, ha, certainly. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. So, after all, Arjunji has taken a decision. Govinda, I shall not fight. Na yotsya iti govindam. Na yotsya iti govindam uktva tushnim. Tushnim, silent. Babhu. Babhu vaha. Vaha. Babhuva. Became silent. Having spoken thus, evam uktva Rishikesha, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, Parantapaha, Gudakeshaha, master at curbing ignorance, Parantapaha, the chastiser of the enemies. So, in the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada writes, Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapaha. Although Arjuna was for the time being overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge for self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated, since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. So, Sanjay ji is addressing Arjun ji as Gudakeshaha and Parantapaha. Eva Muktva Rishikesham Gudakesha Parantapaha. So two words. And he addressed, Sanjay ji addressed Lord Krishna as Rishikesham and Govindam. So, in purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing that Dhritarashtra must have been very glad. So, Dhritarashtra ji, he wanted victory of his sons, and he would have been very glad, enlightened, joyous, that learning that Arjun ji is not going to fight. So, understanding that Arjun ji is not going to fight, he must have been very glad, Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing. So, for sure. But Sanjay ji, he tactfully, he addressed Arjun ji as Gudakesha and Parantapaha. Gudakesha, master at curbing ignorance. Arjun ji is not an ordinary, he is a person who has conquered sleep or ignorance, tamasaha, and he is competent to kill his enemies, Parantapaha. Sanjay ji disappointed him again, though Sanjay ji told Dhritarashtra ji that Arjun ji is not going to fight, and for sure it will bring happiness. And Dhritarashtra ji will be very glad to understand this, that Arjun ji is not going to fight, because if Arjuna don't fight, then other Pandavas will also not fight, and they all will they will accept their defeat. So Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for begging profession. So if he don't fight, if Pandavas they don't fight, then the only means for their sustenance, as it was told in the previous verses also, would be begging. So Dhritarashtra ji he must have been very glad. Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport that he must have been very glad to understand this, that Arjuna is not going to, because Arjun ji has now taken a decision. He has finally taken a decision Govinda, I shall not fight. Na yotsya iti Govindam uktva tushnim, and became silent. I shall not fight. I shall not fight. He has taken a decision. He has finally come to a conclusion that I shall not fight. But Sanjay ji, disappointed, tactfully, by addressing Arjun ji as Gudakeshaha and Parantapaha, one who is competent to curb the ignorance. Ignorance cannot overtake him. Parantapaha, common people of this world can come in ignorance. Sorry, Om Hare Namaha, Hare Krishna. So, general people or a common man can come in ignorance, but Arjunji is not like others. He had already conquered sleep and ignorance. That's why his name is Gudakeshaha. And how in ignorance? So Sanjay ji indicated, and Parantapaha, he is competent to punish his enemies. Parantapaha, that's why that name, Arjunji was renowned by that name, both Gudakesha and Parantapaha. So although Arjuna, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna. For the time being, he was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed with grief, but grief due to family affection. But he did one very important thing. He acted very, very intelligently and in great, already because he is Gudakeshaha. He is very much spiritually advanced and he took a very good spiritual decision of surrendering to Krishna. What Arjunji did in that position, in that precarious condition, in that calamity, what he did was he surrendered. He took a very intelligent, because he is Gudakesha, he took a very intelligent spiritual decision of surrendering to the Supreme Being, to the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, as a disciple. So he surrendered. Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. Shadimam, and instruct me. So for the time being, Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing, this indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness. So self-realization or Krishna consciousness, when one comes to that knowledge, then one can clearly see himself, his constitutional position and his constitutional duty towards the Supreme Lord, towards the religion, towards the dharma, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. One can see his eternal duty when one comes to self-realization, when one gets the perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, Swami Srila Prabhupada writes, and would then surely fight. So already Arjunji is Gudakesha. He is competent enough to curb the ignorance. He is very much spiritually advanced and he took a very good spiritual decision when he was perplexed, when he was in a position where he was not able to judge what he should do, what is right, what is best for him. So at that time Arjunji took a very advanced spiritual decision by surrendering unto the Supreme Being, the Supreme Spiritual Master, the Supreme Lord as a disciple. And Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing, this indicated, this itself, because he has surrendered to Lord Sri Krishna, this indicated, this is an indication that very soon he will come out of all his grief because of family affection, because of karpanya dosha, which is not allowing his mind and his senses to execute his duty, which is generating grief in his mind, and that grief is drying up his senses. Uchchoshanam indriyanam. But Arjuna did the best thing one can do when one is perplexed, when one is in anxiety. The best thing which one can do is to surrender to the Supreme Lord, accept Him as one's spiritual master, and act as per His instructions. So Swami Srila Prabhupada, this indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness, and would then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy would be frustrated. So Dhritarashtra may be very joyous or glad at the present moment, but Sanjay ji gave indication that very soon your joy will be frustrated. You will be unhappy again when you will understand, when you learn that Arjuna is going to fight. He has come out of the ignorance. Since Arjuna would be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end, Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing. So, Lord Sri Krishna, as Swami Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the previous verses, is one who can actually curb anyone's ignorance, can totally eradicate anyone's ignorance, which are born due to the three modes of material nature in this material world. So Lord Sri Krishna is fully in that way competent, and He is the Lord, He is the Supreme Lord, He is the absolute truth, He is the last word of absolute truth, and for sure Arjunji will be fully enlightened by his spiritual master, by his friend. Of course, now he is no more friend because Arjunji has already accepted him as his spiritual master. So Arjunji will be enlightened by his spiritual master, Guru, and he would fight to the end, and Dhritarashtra's joy will soon be over. It will be frustrated. So, wonderful verse. Eva muktva rishikesham gudakeshah parantapah na yosyam iti govindam. And Govindam, Rishikesham, Sanjay ji addressed Lord Sri Krishna, Rishikesham, master of the senses. So he will soon take charge of Arjuna's mind and senses. Rishikesham. And Govindam, Nayosamiti Govindam. Arjunji, of course, Dhritarashtra ji, Sanjay ji is narrating to But Arjunji is also addressing Nayosya iti Govindam, O Govindam, O Govinda, the giver of pleasure. So Arjuna is grief stricken, but Lord Shri Krishna will soon take charge, of his mind and senses, and will give him proper guidance. And for sure, because Arjunji is seeking, he is unhappy, and he is also seeking happiness. So that's why he is addressing Lord Shri Krishna as Govindam. And for sure, Govinda will give pleasure to his dear friend and his dear disciple who has surrendered unto him. So Sanjay ji, in the 10th verse, Sanjay ji again continues. तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तं वचः. तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तम् इदं वचः. तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रसन्निव भारतः सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः. Wonderful verse. Prasanniva Bharata. So, tam unto him, Uvacha said, Rishikeshaha, the master of the senses, Krishna. Prasann, prahasan, smiling, Iva, like that, Bharata, O Dhritarashtra, Bharat. So, Sanjay ji is addressing Dhritarashtra ji as Bharat. Dhritarashtra, descendant of Bharat Maharaj, descendant of Bharat. Senayoho, of the armies, Ubayoho, of both the parties, Madhe, between, Vishidantam, unto the lamenting one, Idam, the following, Vachanaha, words. तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः. O descendant of Bharat, at that time Krishna is smiling, prasanniva, in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. O descendant of Bharat, at that time Krishna is smiling, in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. Tam vacha Rishikeshaha prasanniva. So Lord Shri Krishna started smiling. And prasanniva Bharat. Sanjay ji is addressing Dhritarashtra as Bharat, descendant of Bharat Maharaj. Senayorubhyor madhe, in the midst of both the armies. Vishidantam, grief-stricken. Idam vachaha, Lord Shri Krishna spoke. At that time, Krishna smiling, spoke the following words. What he spoke, that is the next verse. So, in the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada writes, the talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesha and Gudakesha. The talk was going on between intimate friends, namely the Rishikesha and Gudakesha. As friends, both of them were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. As friends, they were on the same level, but one of them voluntarily became a student of the other. Krishna was smiling because a friend has chosen to become a disciple. So, a friend has chosen to be a disciple and accepted the other friend as a spiritual master, Guru. So, Krishna started smiling. And then Swami Srila Prabhupada further writes, as Lord of all, he is always in the superior position. As Lord of all, he is always in the superior position, as the master of everyone. And yet, the Lord accepts one who wishes to be a friend, a son, a lover, or a devotee, or who wants him in such a role. But he was accepted as the master. But when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with the disciple like the master with gravity. When he was accepted as master, as it is required. So it appears that the talk between the master and the disciple was openly exchanged in the presence of both the armies, so that all were benefited. So the talks of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, community, but they are for all. And friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them. Friends or enemies are equally entitled to hear them, are not meant for any particular person, society, or community. Any particular person, society, or community. So, wonderful verse. तम उवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रसन्निव भारतः सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तम् idam vachah. So Lord Shri Krishna started smiling and seeing his friend's position, and friend has already surrendered to him as a disciple. And Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing in the purport, as master, because the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Vishnu, he is the master of all living entities. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, every living entity is his part and parcel. Anshaha Mamai Vanshaha Jiva Loke Jibhuta Sanatanaha, and he is the Supreme Lord. He is the Supreme Lord of all that exist. He is the Supreme Lord of all the creation, and he is the Supreme Lord of every living entity. He is the Supreme Lord, He is the Supreme God. Ishvaraha, Parameshvaraha. So He is always Master, but out of His compassion. He is so magnanimous, and out of His love and magnanimity and compassion for others, for all His part and parcel, for every living being, out of His compassion, He accepts a role. Lord, accept one who wishes to be a friend, a son, a lover, or a devotee. So He accepts a role. So there are Swami Srila Prabhupada and other Vedic literature, as it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we get information from other Vedic literatures, and all the Acharyas, and Swami Srila Prabhupada has explained it very nicely. Every living entity, every single living entity is related with the Supreme Lord in one of the rasas, in which the five primary rasas or pramukh are the main pramukh rasa, and then there are secondary rasas. The primary rasas, shanta rasaha, dasya rasaha, sakhya rasaha, Vasalya rasaha, Madhurya rasaha. In Madhurya also Parakiya, Swakiya. So one can be related to the Supreme Lord as a friend, as a lover, as a parent, or in the Shantarasa or in the Dasya rasa, one can accept Lord as his master. Of course, he is master. In every situation, he is the master. Even if one takes the position of his father or mother, like Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj, but still they serve the Supreme Lord as their loving son. So He is the Supreme Lord and Master in all the circumstances. He is the Supreme Lord and Master in all time, place and circumstances. But when a devotee wants to relate with the Supreme Lord in a particular rasa, so Lord also, out of his compassion or magnanimity, and to give joy to his devotee for his devotional service, in that particular, when a devotee want to serve the Supreme Lord in a particular mood, so Lord also, to accept his devotional service, the devotional service of his devotee, he accepts that role. But Swami Srila Prabhupada is writing, but when he was accepted as the master, he at once assumed the role and talked with his disciple like the master with gravity. So the Swami Srila Prabhupada begins the purport that the talks, earlier all the talks were going on between intimate friends, Gudakesha and Gudakesha and Rishikesha. So, because Arjunji, he always want to serve the Supreme Lord as his friend, so Lord also accept to be his one's friend. If somebody, anybody, if Arjunji or anybody, out of pure devotion, pure love, and truly speaking, everyone, and then there are secondary rasas, five primary rasas, and then there are secondary rasas. So the mood or in which a devotee want to serve the Supreme Lord, the Lord also to accept a pure devotee, not everybody. When one become completely pure from all material contamination, then one can be situated in a rasa or in a mellow of devotional service, and when one can serve the Supreme Lord in that mellow of devotion, and in that mood, in that mellow, one can execute devotional service eternally to the Supreme Being, Supreme Lord, and thus one can derive pleasure from the Supreme Lord, Govinda, who is actually the giver of pleasure to the senses, to the transcendental senses. So once one is completely purified, so Arjunji is already in the purified state. Because Lord Shri Krishna is present, he has accepted, and he has not only accepted, truly speaking, Lord is also present there as his friend. So Arjunji had already perfected devotional devotion and his spiritual practices. He has already perfected all the yogic practices, and that's how he has received Lord Shri Krishna.